Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to Marvelous Chats. This is episode 72 of the cast. We got Hoffman and Zaberwolf, and we're going to talk about the upcoming She-Hulk show, which starts on Thursday on Disney Plus. And we're going to do a bit of a recap of Phase 4 and maybe talk about some Marvel news from the week. So without further ado, let's bring the boys in. Oh, and don't forget, make sure you smash the like button and leave a follow on the channel if you're new here.
Oh, you didn't want to do your Hulk smash the like button joke? It's in the chat earlier.
Hulk smash that like button, baby.
It's so good.
Guys, what's up? How was the week? We didn't do a podcast last week, so I feel like I haven't talked to you in so long.
I know. It's all my fault. Or I guess it was my mom's fault. It was her birthday. So I couldn't come to the
How dare she be
cast. Born? I know. It was like her big 62. So I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? I was like, ooh.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. My dad's 60th was only earlier in the month as well, so we're on the same vibe.
Look at us.
Hell yeah, dude.
Katie's birthday's today.
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday. Yeah, just got out of the hotel. We had some mimosas and had some good breakfast.
Oh, shit.
Now I'm here.
Let's go, dude.
Let's go. Mimosas. Okay, buddy.
Living that Sunday life.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, obviously we got She-Hulk on Thursday. Me and Hoff were kind of talking about this offline. Are we like really hyped for this? Like, and that question goes out to people in the chat, people who are listening. Like, let us know. Like, what's the story? Like, I'm very excited for it. But how are you guys feeling?
So I got this thing where it's like I miss having Marvel content to watch because I'm just addicted now. They got me, so I'm excited to have some like new Marvel stuff coming. But at the same time, like I don't feel anywhere near the hype I did for like Falcon, Winter Soldier, or even Loki. You know, those shows when they were getting ready to drop Obi-Wan Kenobi more recently, like I was excited. Like I was really anticipating those shows. And She-Hulk's just going to come on and it's going to be like, okay, here it is. Like, that's just how I feel. I was even way more hyped for like Moon Knight when it was getting ready to release. I got like no hype levels for She-Hulk and I want to because of Daredevil and stuff, but it just feels like it's not there for me.
Did you see the latest clip? The latest clip that they posted with the ship?
The ship? No, I didn't. I'm trying to avoid like the they always do that where they like tack on all the spoilery stuff like right before the show comes out or the movie comes out.
Yeah, so they released a clip during the week, and basically it shows how they got into the car crash. And the reason there is a spaceship flies down in front of the car, and that's what causes the crash. And people are like, that looks like the Grandmaster's ship, so it's a Sakaar ship.
That's so funny.
It's just weird though. I mean, I know they're straying a little bit away from the origin, but it's going to happen in a similar fashion. So I mean, it works because you're already aware of that ship. You know what that ship looks like, so you're going to be like, hey,
yeah,
what does that mean? And so like, I'm just more excited to see the process of the transformation when we get to see her like on the bed, the blood transfusion, and then like the eventual like Hulk out. And that's what I'm really excited for. I
was just going to say, did you hear the speculation of who might be flying the ship?
No.
Scar.
No, there's no way it's Scar, dude. There's no
No, the Hulk's son.
Oh, okay.
So like people are speculating like that maybe he had a kid while he was on Sakaar.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, people loved him on Sakaar, so it could happen. And if it is Scar, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be jumping.
Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy.
I saw that. I was like, holy shit! I think Alex would be hyped for this.
Oh yeah, this is the one show that I'm extremely hyped for because I'm a huge fan of Hulk and I'm a huge fan of anything Hulk related. So anything She-Hulk is gonna blow my mind. And hopefully that first episode is gonna get everybody on their feet and just thinking like, man, She-Hulk is ready to go. Otherwise, like I think it's gonna kind of drop.
I'm right in thinking that it's only one episode on Thursday. Yeah, or did we hear more? Because there's 9 episodes in total, so it's going to run for 9 weeks.
Yeah, I've only heard one episode. Okay. Normally they let you know like firsthand that they're going to be running a couple of them.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Because I know isn't the Andor show's running like 3 on the first day, so that's going to be like 2.5 hours of Star Wars. Like that's like a movie. Like it's gonna be crazy.
Speaking of which movie, did you hear about Rogue One being re-released?
No, really? But I'm delighted about that. Although it probably won't happen for us over here on this side of the world, which sucks.
I have my hat on a swivel. Apparently, they were re-releasing it for like one weekend in IMAX theaters right before Andor, And like I've got to get like I'm like digging through places trying to find tickets for this.
Fuck yeah, dude. I would be all over that. Same with the Spider-Man re-release as well. They're adding all the extra Toby and Andrew scenes to it.
Mm-hmm.
They're calling it like the fun re-edit or some shit. But yeah, I'd be going to see that as well if that was coming out.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Speaking of Star Wars as well, I watched that Kai Patterson edit of Obi-Wan last night. It's like a 2.5. It's really good. Like he cut out so much bullshit that was in the series. Like the fact that, you know, he kills Reva is just incredible. I love it. And like even just the fire scene, like so much of the stuff that everybody hated, he made it make so much more sense.
Yeah,
which I was like so happy about, because it was just so much of that show pissed me off. And even like, you know, all the stuff that we laughed and joked about was all taken out. Like Leia running through the forest and all gone. You know what I mean? It's just the dude got it. I did notice a couple of kind of slip ups with like audio editing, and like some of his like transitions between the scenes were a little messy, but you know, for the most part, it was incredible. Really liked it. And to top on that, due to like the amount of success from that and the amount of hype from that, apparently he's putting Boba Fett, he's doing an edit on Boba Fett and he's putting it into like a 2-part movie.
Ooh, I would totally watch that.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it as well.
Yeah, you're so right. He cuts out all the meat that like, or all the fat, right? He just like gets right down to it. I think the best and smartest things he does is like you said with like the Leia stuff. Instead of having to chase in at all, you just show up and it's like boom, he snaps her. You know what I mean? Like Flea just Leia and that's it. And there's no chase scene. And not only does it like take out how dumb the chase scene looks, it makes it move so much faster. So you're on to the next thing. Like it's just like proper editing. You know, it's how they would edit a movie or a decent TV show.
Yeah, because you really can't make like an adult chasing a kid look good at all.
No.
Well, you know what's the like I found even just like from the very first minute of starting it, you know, you're going through the Dune Sea, and then it's Obi-Wan working on the fish farm or whatever you want to call it, and you're just like, okay, it's the Obi-Wan show. We're starting with Obi-Wan, whereas the series started with the Inquisitors, and they had that like cheesy bullshit scene, and then they kind of moved a little bit of that scene to later on in the movie, which made a lot more sense. And like when the Jedi finds Obi-Wan, like that's the first time we see the Jedi. He just randomly comes up to him in the desert. I'm like, this is just it flows so much better. And then all the stuff with Vader and everything, like it was all just so good, bro. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know if you can still get it. I don't know if it's still available online, but do a bit of Googling, and anyone who hasn't seen it, like you can download it for free and just watch it. It's like a 2.5-hour film. It's really good.
I really hope that Disney takes it as a hint and they re-edit it and like and just release it in theaters.
Oh my god, bro.
You know what I mean?
Or just like literally just take this guy's cut and put their name on it. Like, thanks for doing all the work, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I just to kind of go back to She-Hulk, but I am excited for the show. Like, you know, we've got Abomination, we've got Matt Murdock's going to be in there, yellow suit Daredevil. Like, you know, obviously Banner. A lot of people online, I've seen a lot of people kind of shitting on Banner, like saying that they're kind of like regressing the Hulk. And, you know, I think a lot of people are going to go in with a negative mindset watching this show, because there's a lot of shit online at the moment. Like if you're flicking through TikTok or any of that stuff, like just anything about She-Hulk is negative because people are just pissed off of the regression. Like I saw a video and it was like the first line of the thing, the regression of the Hulk should be taken as a war crime or something like that. And like, that's how passionate people are about it, you know? So I think a lot of people are going to watch the first episode of this show. And if it isn't just like 10 out of 10, they're just going to shit on it, even if it is good, you know?
Right.
So I kind of hope people go in with an open mind.
Right. And I mean, honestly, I understand the upset over the regression of the Hulk, because there's so much that I could talk about, but the one thing that we've all haven't seen in the longest time is another Hulk movie, whereas everyone else is getting multiple movies. And so I'm just waiting for the next Hulk movie. And maybe that's the case for the MCU. Maybe they're finally getting ready to ramp up and actually start producing Hulk movies.
Apparently they don't even have the full-blown movie rights to do solo Hulk stuff yet. So
right, it's still Universal.
People that are hoping for that are still like, it's not going to happen. Like, it's not possible, you know. Right. So I don't know. Don't get your hopes up too yet. Like, like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised in a few years' time they could do whatever they want.
I will never make any claims anymore, because that's exactly how I felt about Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse and all that coming to Disney. I was like, dude, there's no way. Sony will never give this up. they'll never work with Disney. And then they did. So I'm just like, I have no room to stand on when it comes to like business deals inside of the MCU and Disney and all these other corporations hold Marvel rights because there's so much money to make. They're like, fuck it, we'll do it.
I don't get it, bro. It's like, here, take your character back, but guess what? You're gonna fucking pay us for it because we own them. But you go make an amazing movie, and we'll just collect a whole load of free cash. Like, it makes zero sense. I'm like, give Sony back all the properties. Like Sony, give them all back to Marvel, and just collect a fat check to do nothing. Yeah. Like, it makes no sense to me. Although, did you guys hear about this the Madam Web shit this week?
No, what's that?
So apparently it came out that, do you know the dude, I think his name is Adam Scott, the guy who, so he's going to be playing a young Uncle Ben in the movie, and Emma Roberts has been cast to play Mary Parker, and she's going to be pregnant in the movie with Peter Parker. So she's literally going to be pregnant, carrying a baby Peter Parker. He's going to be playing Uncle Ben, and apparently what's going to happen is someone, an enemy of Spider-Man, is going to travel back in time, kind of like Terminator style, to try and kill Mary Parker so that Peter Parker can never be born. Like, man, it sounds interesting as fuck. And all the female characters are either playing like iterations of Spider-Woman or they're playing iterations of Madam Web herself, because there's been multiple Madam Webs in the comics. So I'm very curious.
There's no way that's a storyline. This goes right in the face of Endgame and how time travel works, doesn't it?
Right.
Well,
Sony just go back in time and
Sony could do whatever they want. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Sony's gonna Sony, bro. Yeah, like, I don't know, bro. Like, I kind of like where their heads are at with it, because it's like getting to see like a young Mary Parker, pregnant woman, like carrying Peter. I think it's going to be really interesting. And then getting to see like a young Uncle Ben. So like, there's a lot of speculation, like, because it's going to be set in the early 2000s. It's like, what universe does it sit in? It's obviously not the Raimiverse, because he was Peter was grown at that time and he already was Spidey. Is it going to be? It's not going to be Andrew's either, because we met like Peter's parents in those movies, and again, I think he still would have been a bit too young, or he's too old. Sorry. So it's going to be a new universe altogether, but it's kind of set in the 2000s.
Wait,
I'm okay with that.
Is Madam Web not coming out under like Disney stuff? It's all just being distributed by Sony?
It's Sony, yeah.
Oh, I'm so confused. So it's not even connected to the MCU, really?
No, technically not. But I believe that the Spider-Verse can. So I don't think this is going to be like full-blown multiverse, but they might have a couple of multiverse kind of bits in it. But I think it's going to be Spider-Verse, where they have the means to cross over with the 616 if they want to. So you could have Tom Holland pop in for a movie down the line. Like, rumors have been for a while now that he's going to be in Venom 3. So it's like they can bounce back and forth, but this movie is predominantly in its own universe over at Sony. Nothing to do with Marvel. Gotcha. But I think Feige probably is going to be on there like as an executive producer or something like that,
Okay.
I would not put my name on that if I was Feige. I
think that was part of the deal, wasn't it, originally? Like, when they got like to use Spidey and do the whole like kind of Spider-Verse stuff and bring Andrew and Toby back, and I think part of the deal there was that Feige would go over to Sony. So
as long as he has some input, and as long as he's making like these decisions that will not make it a shit movie, I'm all for it. But if he's just like, hey, can you look at this, Feige? And he's like, it's fine. And then bam, bad movie. I'm going to be pissed.
And sure, Feige's going to Star Wars as well. So, there's he's obviously branching out. So, I think why not?
Yeah. I'm going to be surprised at what Feige does in Star Wars. Truly. Like, are they just going to give him a whole new era for him to build a world in, or, you know what I mean?
In Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they're smart, like, they'll let him do like Old Republic or something like that, where it'll be, it's rich in story, rich in characters, and just let Feige like start crossing over stuff and doing what he does best. I think that'd be the smart play.
I bet you they're gonna give him the High Republic. They want nothing to do with the Old Republic. They want something that is theirs and that they can build.
Yeah. And then do Do you feel like Feige's going to end up getting stretched out too thin over time?
Oh, already is 100% already.
Yeah, already is.
Yeah, that's why like phase 4 has everything feels like it's just kind of like good, but not like fantastic and great. Like it's not dialed in. I think that's just because his hands have been over so much rather than, it feels like the old way they used to do stuff. It was like one project at a time. Like they would have the ball rolling and like getting like pre stuff done for the next movie, but like he was really focused on the movie that was at hand.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, you can't do that because there's a TV show coming out every like 2 fucking months and a movie coming out every 4.
Do you remember like when Feige used to always like be sporting a hat for like, Endgame or Infinity War or whatever? How many hats must he have now? Like I'd say he goes into like a meeting where it's like, okay, let's talk about the Echo show.
Yeah.
And, like, he sits down, does a bit of storyboard and, does his shit, wears an Echo hat for 2 days. And then it's like on to the next thing. Like, what's he doing next?
Yeah.
He's like so busy that like he's not wearing the same hat for long now these days.
He just stacks it all on top of his head and then just goes through the day.
31 hats at the moment in rotation. Yeah, it's crazy, dude, how busy they are. Like, like he'll retire in probably, I'd say, at the end of the next phase or the next saga. I'd say, when this MCU ends, and he'll like literally hang his hat up and go down in history as probably the best producer of all time.
Ooh. Yeah, I definitely think you can make that case because what other producer has been able to keep something like this going and build such a big universe and not have it fall off? Like we're seeing all the problems DC is having, and they got like 5 characters. Like that's it. There's like 5 characters and they can't get together. And they got Feige with like 32.
Bro, like I read a statistic. Probably this statistic now is probably about 2 years old. So think about how much more money it's made since then. But I believe Feige brought in something like $28 billion for Disney. Just from the MCU. So like, the value that he has to that company is insane. And now he's going to step into Star Wars and then he's going to go over to Sony. It's wild. It's actually wild how much money that guy's like just like piling up for Disney. It's insane. So like, yeah, like just the sheer numbers alone will put him down in history as one of the best.
Mm-hmm. I hope they just give him $1 billion when he retires. Like, here's $1 billion. Here you go, lad. Be on your way.
Yeah. It's insane, dude. It's absolutely insane.
I mean, Spielberg's a billionaire. He might as well let Feige be one too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Definitely, for sure.
Sure, by the time he, like, think about it, by the time he retires, that's going to be probably at least another 10 years. Like, they have the next 10 years planned. He's obviously going to be attached to that. In 10 years' time, he might hang it up. In those 10 years, he's definitely going to make another 40, 50 billion for the company.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's nearly 75, 80 billion. Like give him 1%. You know what I mean? Like that's nearly $1 billion. Like, see you later, bro.
Yeah.
Here's a nice Rolex for you and $1 billion. Enjoy it.
Oh, all the merchandise, all the stuff they're doing in the Disney parks now with it, like building all that out. Like he literally created an entire arm for Disney.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely insane. What a man. Wow. Yeah, we wanted to kind of just talk a little bit about the Phase 4 rewind, as it says in our title. So, do you want to just go through all the projects, or like what are we picking out our favorite things from Phase 4 so far? Or
I say we like walk it through release dates, from the things that they put out first all the way up until now. We got She-Hulk, which is one of the last Phase 4 projects, and then we got Wakanda Forever, and I think that's it. I think that's the wrap on Phase 4.
Pretty much.
So I think we should go like from the very beginning of Phase 4. And just kind of see what we thought about all these movies, like what we've rewatched so far, what we haven't rewatched, and what are our big standouts.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like off the top of my head right now. For me, it's absolutely No Way Home. No Way Home is like number 1 in Phase 4. It's potentially number 1 in the entire MCU for me. Like it's definitely my favorite film. It's between that and Infinity War are like literally number 1 for the MCU for me. So that's definitely my biggest takeaway. I really liked Loki as well. If we're talking TV shows, Loki was really good. It was really fun. Owen Wilson blew me away, like how good he was. So many people talk very highly of WandaVision, and I'm like, the first 3 episodes of WandaVision for me were dog shit. But then it started to get really interesting when you kind of figured out what was going on with the cube and yeah, I don't know. Like, what about you guys? Like, Disney Plus maybe first.
Sure. I've been rewatching Falcon and the Winter Soldier lately. I got like the finale episode to go, and I'm surprised at how much more I enjoy this series on a rewatch than I did in the very beginning. Because when it was released and I was watching it every week, I felt like it was just a mess. They didn't know what they were doing. The storylines were flat. I didn't like the villain. And now that I'm rewatching it, man, that's like a solid fucking TV show. Like it's a solid piece of cinema. Or not cinema, but just like MCU content. You know, everything with Sam and him taking over the shield, giving it up, the way they handled it, and the way it like rolls from the beginning to end. It's a great script. And on the rewatch, it is much less obvious for whatever reason that they had problems with like a COVID type of storyline. Where like the power broker feels a little bit janky, but overall it's like forgettable when you're not sitting with it for a week and you're like just going on to the next episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I that's how I felt rewatching Loki at Christmas time. With my girlfriend's brother, who literally it was his first time watching it. I think I watched episodes like 4, 5, and 6, like literally back to back, and it was great.
Mm. Yeah, I would agree with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I really like that show a lot. I don't really think that I had any sort of like downplay on it, except for the story that was changed mid season. It didn't feel as connected as it should have been, because you could already tell that there was a lot that they had lined up, but because of the whole COVID situation, they had to like make a 180, kind of figure out something else, and it just didn't feel as fluid. And then the power broker thing, I felt like it was so rushed. Like I forgot it was Sharon Carter that is considered the power broker. Like who cares? It was a last minute thing. It's the same formula with the MCU, like with these Disney Plus shows. The villain gets showed at the very end, like, oh no, one episode of that villain, okay, we're done. And it's just it just gets so limp so easily. And to be honest, I know you guys really don't like the first 3 episodes of WandaVision, but I like it. I used to watch those old shows like growing up. You know, I would stay up late, watch Nick at Night, you know, watch those, you know, watch I Love Lucy, watch, you know, Bewitched and whatnot. And those were fun shows. So to kind of get that same vibe, it was fun. Yeah. But it and I felt, but I do understand like it took a little too long. And then regarding Loki, I haven't really gotten back to Loki. I don't think I want to. I think I just didn't like it.
Oh, I agree with you there. Like Loki was definitely my least favorite show on Disney Plus for whatever reason. Like I think it's because like I was so hyped up for it. Like I was up here. I thought it was going to be this like jumping through time, like history style rewriting stuff. Like Loki played more of a role in history than we know. Like I was like a pump for that, and to see that show and then what it was so far away from my expectations that I'm actually excited to rewatch it once I'm done with Falcon, because now that I know what the show actually is about, how will I actually enjoy it differently?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, just gotta give a big shout out Marvel Maniac in the chat. Greetings from Australia. Says that Multiverse of Madness is most rewatch value for him.
Multiverse of Madness.
I only recently purchased the Steelbook for it, and I can't wait to rewatch it in like proper 4K. I'm really excited about that. And I can see that I Am Groot is getting mentioned in the chat. I have an 8-year-old living in my house, and I Am Groot has been played already 5 times from start to finish each episode. And I'm not angry about it. I think it's fun. It's good, but I realistically don't believe that it belongs in Phase 4. Like it's 5 3-minute episodes, and I genuinely don't think that it should have been put on the release schedule. Like it's not Phase 4. Like it's not technically.
It's technically in Phase 3 because it's during the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think between 1 and 2. So like you know you're partially correct.
I wouldn't keep it. I wouldn't put it in any phase. I don't think it belongs with movies and TV. It's canon. Just short. I know it's canon, but do you know what I mean? It seems like it's a kind of it's almost a marketing money making scheme that they realize that it's like, oh shit, we grew way too quickly. We need to go back and kind of capitalize and turn him into a baby Yoda. Like that's exactly what it is. Like it really is. Let's release shorts. Kids are gonna love them, and I'm seeing that like in my house. I'm seeing that happen. My kid knows nothing about Marvel yet. He's not there, but now he absolutely loves Groot. He says Groot's his favorite. Like so it's that's exactly what Disney wanted to do, and it's working. It's working.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I totally forgot that I Am Groot came out.
What? It's kind of fun, dude. Watch them. They're it's like 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes, but it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Rocket's in one of the episodes, and it's really good.
Multiverse of Madness. That is the only movie I watched twice in the theater during Phase 4, which is kind of big for me because all of like Phase 2 and Phase 3 stuff I rewatched twice in the theaters. And Multiverse of Madness is the only one I went back and saw a second time, and that movie, every time I rewatch it, I fall in love with it more. Like, is Sam Raimi really did a number on that? I did get to watch the behind the scenes thing, and it makes you realize why everything feels so much better and it looks so great. And that's because he used a ton of practical effects, even for the MCU that's like surrounded by just, VFX. We've heard all the horror stories about how much they use VFX. You watch like them recreating the streets in New York, and I'm like, man, like this feels just like New York. Like this New York that he has here is shot better than any other New York we've seen in the MCU. Turns out it's because they actually recreated it rather than like shooting it in Georgia. They just built a New York City out in London.
They built like 4 blocks. They built like 4 New York City blocks. It's crazy. I know. And
you can feel that, man. And like that's why it feels so good. Like he's like an old school filmmaker. It's like sometimes you just have to do the work. You have to spend the money and get these like real sets built because it just adds to the story. I felt like I was immersed in New York, and like he wasn't trying to do weird shots to disguise that this wasn't New York, man. Multiverse of Madness. I can't wait to watch it again because it's fucking awesome, man.
I watched it once on Disney Plus, and I'll be watching it on Ultra HD 4K, like proper. Can't wait.
So good.
To tack on to the New York style, though, like I love that they didn't just pick out a New York that was just slightly different. They literally changed it up. They gave it this whole vegetation all over the buildings kind of situation. They changed everyone's clothing. They had a reason for that too. The umbrellas, the hats, just conformity and constant raining because they want to increase the vegetation. And it felt so lively. Like you literally went into a new universe where things were different. And that's what I really wanted. That's what I wanted with Loki. Mm-hmm. Like that's exactly what I wanted with Loki. I thought that they were going to go into different timelines or different areas of the multiverse, and just we get to see different crazy things. And all we really saw were planets and maybe just Throg, and that was it.
Yeah. Good Throg. What do you guys think about Shang-Chi and the Legend of 10 Rings? Because that's another one. I haven't made it all the way through, but I've rewatched like half the movie. And I'm like, dude, the visuals in that and the choreography in that movie is outstanding.
Yeah, it's great. It really is. I love Simu Liu, isn't it? That's his name.
Simu Liu.
Yeah, he's so good, dude. Like he was kind of born to play that part, I think, and just like pulls it off so well. He's like jacked and looks like a fucking superhero. Like I love the first 20 minutes of that movie. It just feels like. It feels so like San Francisco, like it feels like you're there. Like I was there once, and I really feel like I'm back there when I'm watching that, and then I just love the scene with the BMW, the M8, where they're doing like, when Aquafina robs it, they're like ripping around the streets and stuff. I'm just like, this is amazing. Like I love it. So good. Yeah, so
definitely a very fluid movie. I know we've had our gripes about near the end with some of the visuals, but overall, character Wenwu, Shang-Chi, all the characters seem really fleshed out. I actually liked Awkwafina's performance. I didn't think it was too bad, but everything else was like fantastic. I wanted to see more of that arena. Like I want us to go back there. I would love that as a short, just to see some fights going through, like see who they grab, see who they like imprison, and just have them fight. That'd be so fun.
It would be fun. I still can't get over that last fight scene between him and his dad. I think we were talking about it on episode 71 of the podcast that the King Dynasty director is going to be the director from Shang-Chi. And I just can't get over how big those visuals were. And they, you never got lost during that huge fight. You know exactly what's going on. And then the visuals of him and his dad throwing down were just like ridiculously cool. And the VFX didn't feel cheesy at all. And you still felt like all the emotions during the fight between him and his dad. Like it was just fantastic. So I'm a huge fan of Shang-Chi every time I rewatch it. It's another one that like I was a little bit mild on it walking out of the theater, and now that I keep rewatching it, like it keeps growing on me.
Yeah, for me, like it really hit home. It kind of reminded me a lot of like Black Panther when that first came out because it was like really good soundtrack, good like kind of like martial arts and stuff like that, like and just visually beautiful and just introduced to a new world, and I thought it worked really well.
Agree, big agree on that.
Yeah.
I saw a clip online of the Eternals and the final fight scene of the Eternals when they were all fighting and Icarus was going toe to toe with like the speedster of that group. I forget her name. Dude, that fight scene, I did not remember it going that hard. And then I saw the comment section and I was like, someone said it was like, man, I was so checked out by this part of the movie. I didn't realize how good this was. I was like, that's how I felt too, man.
Yeah. I've rewatched Eternals once, I think, already, and the rewatch value is really good on it. The only thing that pisses me off is that the movie is like all fucked up on Disney Plus, where it keeps going from IMAX, like it keeps going full screen, then cutting down to the full screen ratio, and then like bouncing back and forth, and it's so annoying to watch. So I apologize to anybody who did not notice that, but they're going to notice it now the next time they watch it. But it's constantly kind of just cutting the screen like up and down, and it's just really, really annoying.
Yeah.
But the rewatch value of that film is very high for me. Like I think it's really good, really good.
Yeah, and yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex. I just saw you pop back in.
I just wanted to state that my most beloved scene in Eternals was the nukes, like just the retrospective behind. Oh God, what is his name? He's not Hephaestus, is he? Or Hephaestus? I can't remember. Is it Hephaestus?
Phastos.
Phastos, yes. And how he was just so broken down and realized that he allowed technology to advance so fast that people got killed from it. And just the tears and the sadness from him and realizing the mistake he made. I thought that was my favorite scene of all time within Eternals.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see the Eternals 2 or wherever the Eternals come next in the MCU, because I do think their characters are so different. Like that, even though it is like the MCU, it feels so much more separated than anything in the MCU, but it doesn't feel like that in a bad way. It feels like it's just like a separate side of things, in the same way that hopefully when we get the X-Men, that's kind of how it's going to feel. Where like they're just off on their own, doing their thing. Similar to, I guess, how Guardians of the Galaxy didn't really feel like an MCU movie when it first came out, because now it does, because the rest of the MCU movies kind of copy what the Guardians were doing and how their movies operated. But that's how the Eternals felt to me, is like Guardians when you first walked out. It's so different. It felt like they were their own family and they didn't need the rest of the MCU to stand up on their own. And I'm a huge fan of the Eternals, and I need to know, does anyone else in the world know that there's a gigantic celestial just hanging out in the ocean? Just hanging out.
We
haven't seen any tours or anything of it either. Like,
hasn't been on the news.
A great tourist area.
Hasn't been on the news. Like, how's like Spidey not talking about it?
Yeah.
How's Hawkeye not mentioned it? Like, there's a big dead alien and like stone alien like coming out of the earth. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen so many people talk about that lately, like, and it's so true. I don't understand. It makes no sense to me how we've had, I think, like maybe 4 or 5 projects that have taken place in the timeline after this movie, and not one of them is mentioned.
Yeah, just need a small mention. Just a small mention, just a line. Even in Iron Man 1, when Coulson had to take off, and he's like, yeah, I gotta go check on a hammer in the desert. And you're like, oh shit. Like, they just need something like that, man. We're gonna be satiated, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Was it Alex? Were you saying that at one point the Avengers set up like a base inside that Celestial's head, or something like that?
Yeah, in the comics, they totally did.
I'd love to see that. Like, dude, that'd be so funny. Imagine like the Thunderbolts are set up in there or something.
Bro, it's crazy. Because now in Judgment Day in the comic books, right? Judgment Day #2. Not only did the Avengers Tower get set up inside of a Celestial, now they're waking it up to use it as like a weapon, bro. It's going nuts, dude. Like,
I just think they need to like just bite the bullet, and I know it's hard because they try and like kind of make these movies, you know, watchable and understandable to like normies, but I would love for them to go hard on some of this like comic book stuff, like, you know, like I think they're starting to get there. I know, like if you would have mentioned a multiverse and, you know, like Kang and Thanos and all this stuff, if you would have mentioned that like when we were watching like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, like people, you'd be like, what? Absolutely not. Like there's no way that's happened. Yeah, like universes going against each other and all. Like, are you insane? Like, of course not. And now we're there. So I suppose like in another 5 or 10 years, like, you know, what's going to be kind of normal is going to be huge. Like, you know.
It's really grown because you see the progression that we go from the ground and we work our way up and then we go into space and then it gets super cosmic and now we're kind of on the ground again. So I'm thinking that by the end of Wakanda Forever, we're probably going to be lifted up in the next phase and we're going to be either like in space again for a time and then come back to Earth or go to a different planet. And then it's just going to either get cosmic or it's going to get more multiversal, which is based on like the Avengers name, right? Like Multiversus War or something like that.
Well, I believe isn't the first project of Phase 5 going to be Ant-Man? And I believe like 90% of that movie is based in the quantum realm. So I suppose we're going cosmic, but at like a micro scale, so it's I think you're right. Like we're gonna go from like Wakanda into like just like Star Wars style space battles, but it's going to be happening in a microverse. Like it's crazy. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, excited.
Hell yeah, dude. Just the fact that Kang's going to be in that, and it's just going to like start linking up. I think Loki might make a lot more sense, or it might be more fun to go back and rewatch it. Like having like a Kang variants kind of starting to pop up now. I'm very excited for that. Very excited.
Yeah, definitely excited to see like where they're going to be using Kang variants throughout the MCU. Are they actually going to like try to make him a good guy in some of the variants? You know what I mean? There's so much you can do with Kang, and it's how confusing do they want to get with it?
Right.
Yeah. Like I think like there was a video I watched recently, and it was like speculation on potentially Kang being the person who buys Stark Tower, and it's like because he has that obsession with Tony Stark, and he's a descendant of Reed Richards and stuff, so it would make a lot of sense. And I think I don't know if there was a comic book that was based where it was it one of Kang's variants is like a Nathaniel Richards, and then there's another variant of Kang who's also a descendant of Doom, and basically Richards versus Doom sort of thing, like like it's just crazy shit going on in the comics. Like
Kang is ridiculously like spanned out. Like you can pick any universe with Kang.
Everywhere. Yeah, he's
and
everywhere.
it's gonna be different. Did you guys happen to check out the comic that was like posted in the QR code within Moon Knight? It was Kang versus Moon Knight, and it was literally them getting pieces of the scepter. And like you go through different universes, and then you have a universe where Moon Knight's a cowboy. You have one where it's like noir Moon Knight. You have like all the way back like old Egypt. There's a Moon Knight in like ancient Egypt, and it's just they all amass together and they basically fight Kang and defeat him.
Wow, that's epic. And there was a Kang Easter egg in Moon Knight, right?
On the jacket, right?
The jacket, yeah.
What's the last movie that we haven't talked about? Isn't there Thor, right?
Thor, yeah.
Well, there's also Black Widow.
And Black Widow. I don't really count Black Widow as Phase 4.
You gotta count it as Phase 4, man.
Black Widow should have happened directly after Civil War. It would have just made so much sense.
It definitely is the wrong time for Black Widow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to go back. And I think like, we're at that time, obviously after Endgame, we had the global pandemic in real life, and it was kind of just felt like the whole world stopped. And then, we start going back to the cinema again, and you're watching movies that happened before Endgame. You're like, are we stuck in a time loop here? What's going on? I felt like I was back in 2019 again. Like I was like, what the hell's going on? So the movie just felt, in the Marvel timeline, it felt out of place. And in real life, it just felt completely out of place. Like you're watching something that at the end of the movie, it's implied that she's going to meet Steve Rogers. And it's like, okay, now we're at the start of Infinity War. Like, it's like, bro, it's just like, yeah, okay, now we're back in 2018.
Yeah. And it kind of breaks the promise of like what an MCU movie is. Like all the movies are always pushing forward towards the next thing, right? Like this storyline is going to lead you somewhere to a movie that you haven't seen, and everything's going to tie together. And then you get Black Widow, and it's like the only MCU movie where it's going to lead you into something that's already been made, which is kind of going against the principle of the MCU and how they found their success.
Yeah.
And then it was just the worst CGI I think I've ever seen in a theater. Like,
I think because I heard that they had a Robert Downey Jr. scene that they cut from the film. And I think if they had left that in, And if they had actually showed Steve Rogers at the end of the movie, I think that would have made the movie so much better. You know, I think at the end when you see the flash forward and you see Val, you know, recruiting Yelena, I'm like, that's cool. That's kind of bringing it back to the MCU. But I think if you had RDJ show up and you had Steve Rogers, and like you wouldn't even technically, I would, you know, I'd bet my house on it that you literally like they have to have a bunch of unused footage of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. Like it's like I'm sure they can put some stuff together in unused footage that we haven't seen before without having to get these guys back again and just put that into the movie and just have that set place in between these two movies. Like it would just make so much sense. I don't understand it.
It's the same fitting with WandaVision. I remember we were talking about how Doctor Strange was intended to be within the series, like near the end of it.
He shot scenes.
Yeah.
It was cut like.
And you like they did the same. I feel like they did the same thing with Black Widow. They just didn't want these characters overshadowing this character. But Black Widow is a huge Avenger. Like nobody looks at Black Widow and just goes whatever.
It's like, oh my god, like Chris Evans is here. Oh my god, yeah, this is all about.
That's cool.
This is Captain America show now. It's like, no, are you for real? Like. Black Widow she's one of the OGs, like she's the original six, like
she's an Avenger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, whoever was making those decisions to pull the cameos, man, they made big mistakes. They robbed us of so many cool moments. Because Doctor Strange showing up in WandaVision would have been spectacular. Like it is so fitting for him to show up in that type of role. Like in the same way that like Iron Man shows up in Spider-Man. He does not steal the show. RDJ, one of the biggest actors in the world, does not steal the spotlight away from Spider-Man in Spider-Man Homecoming. Like it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
It's wild. I don't understand it.
It's more so the interaction. All we want is the interaction. We don't really care if both are on the scene. It's just when they talk to each other that matters the most to us, especially for fans. Like you want Thor to be chatting with, you know, Banner. And talking about like all the scientific stuff, and he's like, well, magic and science are one and the same, or you know, Iron Man and Thor talking because like he has pulsar beams and he's like shooting them at him. Like, remember the first Avengers? I love that scene.
Dude, how much would Hawkeye the series have been jacked up if they had, and they don't even need Tom Holland, but if they had a stunt double swinging in as Spider-Man in that final episode when they had the fight at Rockefeller Center. Like, do you know what I mean? You have a dude jump in, stick to the side of a wall. Hey, and it's like Tom Holland's voice. You could do it with a computer now. It's like, hey, you guys need a hand? Like, you know, Kate Bishop. Nah, it's cool, bro. We got this. Nice to meet you. Like, that is just winner, you know? And it's like, you like, there's like zero like choreography needed, nothing. It's such a simple win. And it just, again, connects everything. I've been talking about this for years. I used to say the same thing when Daredevil was on TV, like when it was on Netflix. Like, I'm like, why don't they just have an Iron Man suit like flying across the sky? Just takes 2 seconds. It's a tiny bit of CGI. You reuse some old footage, whatever. You don't even need Robert Downey Jr. And it just connects everything so well, just so that you know all these people are in New York. There's no way they're not running into each other. No way. Like Hawkeye knows Spider-Man. It's like, are they not going to be like you think he would text him? Look, shit's going down in Rockefeller. I know you're only around the corner. Do you want to swing by? Like, you know, it's like, come on, bro.
Yeah, like you could totally have extra security. He could have been like, I know a kid from Queens. We can bring him in. He'll take a look. He'll keep a look in the skies. Keep an eye out for us.
Even that line, if they had that dialogue and he never showed up, it would still be fire. Even if he just said that, all he has to do is say it. We don't even need to see it. Just say it. You know what I mean?
Then you get an Then you get an after credits of him showing like, hey man,
sorry I'm late. Have to clean the suit. I'm living on my own now. Bro, like again, it baffles me sometimes how the three of us could sit down and just have a bullshit chat about this stuff and come out with better ideas than these guys are actually putting out on the TV. It's wild to me. These guys are getting paid big bucks. They're living it up, and we're literally spitballing better scenarios here in a 40-minute conversation. Like it's wild.
Yeah, it's just crazy how much of the MCU right now is taking place in New York, and it's like nobody has seen each other at all. Because like we're talking about that, but like don't forget Falcon's there. You know, Bucky's there too. they're all just there in New York City, and no one says anything to each other. They're just like in their own little universe, man.
Yeah. And now you've got like Miss Marvel. Like I know she's in Jersey, but it's like she's close enough. It's like,
and how
where
great was
the
that
hell Sam is?
cameo?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's like what we're talking about. Like there's a Captain Marvel cameo, and it was fire. Like it was so good just to see Captain Marvel show up.
Yeah, exactly. And it minimal effort. Did she even have a line? I don't even think she had a line. I think she stood there and looked confused. That was it. She didn't even say anything.
I think she said "oh crap" or "oh no" or something like that.
Yeah, I'd say she had to study the script hard for that one. It's like literally she had to do nothing. Just show up, put the suit on, get paid a fat fucking paycheck. Boom, see you later. Off you go. And now you've just absolutely elevated that show. For anyone who's like a gigantic Miss Marvel fan, even if they weren't watching that, they're watching it now because she's in it. That's such a easy win. I'll never understand it. Because that's what made the MCU. All these like little crossovers and cameos are what made the MCU what it is today. And Phase 4 has had none of it.
Yeah. And hopefully that's a sign of things to come, that they've kind of figured that out, that these shows need to kind of tie into the MCU more broadly. Because we got She-Hulk coming, and obviously Hulk's going to be in that, but we already know that Wong's going to be in that, and we know that Daredevil's showing up. So they're starting to recognize like, hey, even though these are TV shows, we need to have crossover events in them. We got to show that this is part of the broader MCU universe and not just like this little tiny bubble.
I think the TV shows should potentially even cross over more so than the movies, because it's like, why wouldn't they, when they're doing, they're kind of like prepping for these missions and so on. Like, it's like, why wouldn't you be crossing over? So like She-Hulk, for example, like why wouldn't she be meeting up with Daredevil, who is another attorney? Like, it just makes sense, and it's like they do it all the time in comic books. There's always like team ups and crossovers and one shots here and there. I just think, they need to be doing this stuff. Like, have Daredevil and Punisher do a 6-part series together. You know what I mean?
Well, then
win-win.
They could even change it up with the Fantastic Four after we've got them set in stone. Maybe the Thing retires for a little bit or is off planet or something, and She-Hulk jumps in and she's part of the Fantastic Four, or even Spider-Man jumps in because Spider-Man joins Fantastic Four later on.
Yeah, I
can't wait for stuff like that.
I've seen that. Yeah, doesn't he have like a 5 on his chest?
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
It's cool. Yeah, I've seen it. I think I actually own that comic book in NFT form, hilariously enough. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, what would you say? So I don't know if we answered this, but like for you two, like, what's your highlight of Phase 4? Like, what's number 1 on the list?
I'm gonna say that I have to go with Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness.
Nice. Better than No Way Home?
For me, yeah. I thought that the Multiverse of Madness, I enjoyed it more. Spider-Man No Way Home felt like kind of a roller coaster of fan service, that it was just like fun stuff that we like to see all the time. But Multiverse of Madness had a pretty well-structured story, and then like thematically, they were putting Strange through, like teaching him a lesson that like it's not about him. He's got to let go of being the one who holds the knife. Like that whole deal. I really like that they were exploring that theme and like drilling that home versus Spider-Man, which I didn't get really what they were talking about in terms of like what is Spider-Man taking away from this, aside from, hey, I just gotta go live on my own, man. Like he's just a martyr. And all of a sudden, like I don't know.
I what I loved about No Way Home was just the fact that it felt like such a different Spider-Man for so long, and now at the end, it's like we have his Uncle Ben's death. We have the with great power comes great responsibility. And it's just the way that it was told so differently, but then turned out in the end to just be so similar. And, like all 3 Spidey are there. And it's like, yeah, look, this is what my Uncle Ben told me. This is, what shapes us and what makes us Spider-Man. I just thought that was really fascinating by the end, and just so well put together. And then obviously all the villains were just amazing. Like seeing Alfred Molina back, seeing Willem Dafoe, and, even Jamie Foxx was good in this one, and then like his first take on that character was terrible, and like even he was redeemed, like you know what I mean. It's just crazy. And then they did shit like they reused all of the Sandman footage from Spider-Man 3 and just really intelligently like kind of re-edited it. And I thought that was when I first watched the movie, I didn't even notice that they were doing that. I needed to see, like I saw that in a breakdown after, and I was like, oh my God, I never even realized that they just regurgitated the same scenes over and over. And I think it was scheduling error. They couldn't get the dude to actually act, but he did all the voice work. So, and like when you're rewatching the movie, you're like, oh my god, he's just sand for half the movie, and it just makes so much sense. It's like they couldn't use the actor, and I'm like, now it makes sense. But when you're watching it for the first time, you're like, you don't even think about that. I didn't even think, why isn't he just transforming back into himself? I'm just like, oh, maybe it's a part of like him getting teleported here. He can't fully reform or something. It just made sense. I don't know.
Sure. Well, it's the same thing for the lizard. It was the exact same thing for the lizard.
Exactly.
They kept him in his form for the entire time. They didn't give him any reason to like transform back.
Exactly. And then it was the same story. Like he provided some audio for it, but obviously his schedule wouldn't let him come to physically shoot it.
Exactly.
I don't know, Brad. That movie was just so special. So special.
Yeah, it was definitely a special movie. But in terms of shows, I would 100% have to say Moon Knight was my favorite out of the entire Phase 4. That show just kept itself up throughout the entire time. I felt like nothing was amiss. I really I know we all wanted to see Jake Lockley, and that's the thing, is like they were teasing it until the very end and showed it. But like other than that, like the synergy between, you know, Steven and Mark, like that was amazing. The fact that like you get to see their minds kind of like synchronize at the very end of the show as well, in terms of the fight. Like you see that final fight, which, man, I really would have loved to see that blackout scene and seen Jake like just go ham. But I get it. Like that's another season to come, as rumored. And just like even the like Red Scarab was amazing. Or was it Scarlet Scarab? Anyways,
Scarlet Scarab.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just the costumes were amazing. Like the transformations felt good. All the characters felt fluid. And it goes back to square one at the very end of it, and I love it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Moon Knight, but what you're talking about, the way that we didn't get to see the payoff with Jake Lockley, that really bugged me in the last episode.
You've brought that pain back for me now. You pissed me off all over again, Alex.
We needed to see that.
Yeah, we did.
If you're gonna tease it all season, we got to put it in the season. Like that's got to be part of that season, or you should have saved it for like a after credit scene where it's like, oh, there's a third person we didn't know about. But you know, that being said, Oscar Wilde or whatever, Oscar Isaac, he completely carried that series, and his performance playing those two characters,
he was phenomenal, bro.
Tremendous the entire time.
Phenomenal.
Carried that show.
And like the fact that, because I don't know if you watched the assembled episode of the making of that series, but when they first started shooting that show, he was doing like a day as Steven, then a day as Mark, and they had to like kind of split it up. But by the end of the show, he was able to literally shoot one scene and act as the two, bouncing back and forward. Like, and he was that, like he knew them both so well by the end of it. Yeah, crazy.
That's so cool, bro.
Yeah, really, really cool.
These assembled things from Marvel are like some of the best content on Disney Plus.
They really are.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, for me, like I think No Way Home. If I'm trying to think of like series that's the best, to be honest, for me, I think it's Loki. I think Loki's my favorite series.
What?
Yeah, like I think the seasons haven't been great, and I have no want to go back and watch WandaVision. I don't want to go back and watch Falcon. I would maybe rewatch Hawkeye. I think I might rewatch Moon Knight because I think you might view it differently than the second time when you kind of know everything that's going on. Because again, I didn't know much about Moon Knight at all going into that show, so I was a bit lost with it at the start. So, and I will never watch Miss Marvel again. So that's a fact.
Bro, you gotta go back and watch Falcon. Come on, you gotta.
I will. I'll do it for you, Hoff. Okay,
it's so good.
I'll watch it for you. And to be honest, I think I might watch episodes 4, 5, and 6 of WandaVision. I'll skip the first 3, but I might go back and watch 4, 5, and 6. Then I'll watch Falcon, and then I will watch Loki, and then Hawkeye. I think I will go back and rewatch all the shows,
including Miss Marvel. I love that for you.
No, I really can't. I really can't.
I'm so disappointed in the way Miss Marvel turned out, because I was thinking that I was not going to like the show at all, and then like the first episode hit, and that first episode's really, really good. And it's just
They
like
really are.
every episode just can't live up to that, and it kept getting progressively worse as the season went on, and I just kept getting more disappointed. And I wish they would have kept that magic that they captured in the first episode, because that thing was amazing.
It was, and I don't understand how the show fell off so much, because it seemed like they were on track and they just went for it, but now it's like nothing happening here.
A part of me believes that it has to have been that they put all their most of their budget into the first episode, and then they're like, oh crap, we got 5 more episodes to work on.
Yeah.
It was so visually pleasing in the first episode of Miss Marvel, and then it just drops off.
Yeah. So She-Hulk obviously airs on the 18th, and then we have Wakanda Forever in November, and then the last project of the year is the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
It's exciting.
It's still slated for this year.
Yeah, December 2022.
Oh yeah, they're done filming, man.
Yeah, it's done. And then we've got February. So nothing between December and February. February we got Ant-Man 3, and then spring we have Secret Invasion. Then Guardians in May. Guardians 3. Then Echo in the summer, and Loki in the summer. Like Echo, I don't know how many episodes Echo's going to be. Echo's going to be just like Daredevil season 3.5. And then the Marvels is in the summer as well. So we got Echo, Loki 2, and the Marvels all in the summer of next year. So summer's gonna be packed. Like I'd say there'll be an episode of like I think what they'll probably do is they'll air Echo for the 9 weeks or whatever it is, straight into Loki, and then like as Loki's on, the Marvels will probably come out as well. Then we got Blade in November. There's actually a bit of a crazy gap. Now, I think they'll actually fill this during D23, because there's no way, like with how everything's going now, there's no way that they're going to have a gap from July all the way to November.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think there'll be something.
Well, we've got D23 coming up pretty soon, right?
Yeah, I believe it's
September
next
23rd.
No,
Wait, it's next week?
Sorry, no, you're right. It is. I'm a few weeks ahead of schedule. It's in September. Yeah, I think it's. I actually think it's September 11th.
Let me go look real quick. Convention.
Oh, there's so much coming out, dude. Jesus Christ.
And we're not even talking about like Star Wars, they've like along with that. Yeah, you're right. September 9th through the 11th.
Yeah. So I think there's 8 more projects that they're going to air, or they're going to announce during that. And I think Punisher is going to be one of them. And
them announcing the Punisher at a Disney event is going to be the funniest thing ever.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I know. Can't wait. Yeah. You remember Frank Castle? He's going to be blowing some heads off on Disney Plus.
That murderous anti-hero.
Yeah. TVMA, guys. TVMA. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they decide to keep it TVMA. I really would hate for it to get toned down. And I know it's Disney, and I know it's probably going to get toned down, but at least not too freaking much. We just need the same amount of like carnage that happened in Punisher season 1.
I believe like John Bernthal's his demands to come back was the fact that it would stay like the Netflix series, and rumor has it that he has signed on the dotted line, so it's going to be TVMA. So I presume that they've come to terms with that, because he's not going to do a watered down version of it. He says, if I'm coming back to tell the Frank Castle story, we're doing it properly. And I have nothing but respect for the man for doing that, because that's the way it should be. And I think
Disney After Dark.
Yeah, Matt Murdock is the same. Like, I think people are saying, I've seen a lot of reports this week, that the Daredevil that we're going to see in She-Hulk is going to be like a way toned down, lighter version. So people are like, oh, here we go, they're getting Disneyfied already, and I think like for this show, it maybe makes sense, because this is going to be kind of a lighthearted show. So I think, if you get like a version of Matt coming in that's a little more like just chill, and he's not like beating people's heads in, that's fine, but then I think when it comes around to his own show, shit's going to hit the fan. And I think it'll be, him meeting up with Punisher again and so on. Like, I think it'll be just back to the kind of the dark and gritty. Get Bullseye back in. Amazing. Did you hear that Feige mentioned as well that the people that will be leading the street level heroes is Spidey and Daredevil?
Dude, I just want them together in a couple of scenes, please.
It's coming, bro. It's gonna happen.
Like before the contract on one of them runs out, please just put them together.
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna get. I would be shocked if Daredevil and Spidey were not working together in Spider-Man 4. I'd be shocked.
Okay.
Gotta be.
Have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs a new mentor.
True. True. And just like even the fact that like we've now seen them together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose I don't know how that works after the spell now. So I suppose now after the spell, he doesn't know who he is again. You know.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I don't know.
we'll see what they do to retcon things, because they're like there's so many unanswered questions. They have to figure out what makes sense, what doesn't, and just try to snip it all together.
But that's gonna be like a great scene because Daredevil is like one of the first people in the MCU or in the Marvel universe that Spider-Man opens up to and actually reveals his identity to. Like, there's a great scene in the comics where they both kind of reveal who they are to each other at the same time. So now that like that the spell happened and no one knows who Spider-Man is, if they make Matt Murdock the first person he kind of opens up to and trusts, like it's gonna be a great moment.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I saw a funny meme there during the week where it was like a picture of Echo and a picture of Matt Murdock, and it's like, how the hell are these two going to communicate with each other? It's so true, bro. Like, one's blind and one's deaf. Like, they can't read each other at all. No, I know technically Matt probably can, but it's just funny. It's funny to think about.
Matt Murdock knows sign language. 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's so cool, man. I love Daredevil so much. I'm so excited for that. I can't believe we're going to be potentially on Thursday seeing Daredevil. It's insane. Like,
ooh, I wonder how they bring him in.
I'm so hyped. Yeah, like I think I heard he was going to be in 3 episodes. Now, whether he just like kind of is in 3 episodes for 5 minutes, like I don't think it's going to be extensive Matt Murdock or extensive Daredevil. I think it's just going to be like, oh hey, I'm here, like, or whatever. Or,
right.
If you need a hand, give me a shout or whatever. Or like I think maybe we'll see him in a courtroom. I think that would make most sense. They cross paths in a courtroom, and then maybe at the end of that episode, she's up on that rooftop, and then he comes like flipping in or something like that. I think that'll be there.
How do you understand? Like, how would you take that though? Like, if you're saying that Daredevil is going to be for 3 episodes, who's to say that Matt Murdock won't be there for like other episodes?
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, just the alter ego.
Yeah,
like for the 3 episodes, but the guy himself is going to be there for the majority of the series.
Yeah, I would love that, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't think that Charlie Cox was that involved with the show, and I don't even think that he's that involved in Echo either. I saw on Twitter one of the Marvel kind of scoopers talking about it, and they were like, everybody's getting pissed off about people getting excited that it's the Fisk and Matt show, and they're like kind of taking the Echo show away from the actress who's playing Echo, and it's like, well, calm down a second. Like, he's only a cameo. Like, he's not taking over the show. Like, whereas Kingpin probably will. I'm going into that show for Kingpin and Daredevil, and Echo's third. Like, it's kind of sad that that's the case, but I think it's good that there's people that are going to be wanting to watch the show no matter what. Like, no one gives a fuck about Echo.
I don't know, dude. Like, not really. I think that I'm hoping that they do kind of shine a light on Echo. The character is awesome in the comics, and if not played right, is going to be shit in the show. But like, I want it to shine. I want all these characters to shine. Like, I know you didn't like Miss Marvel, but I still want her character to shine. That character is beloved. Like, it's like, you got to bring them up.
I'm interested to see that movie, The Marvels, but I won't go back and watch her show. And if she shows up down the line in another crossover show or like a fucking Young Avengers or something like that, like, I'm not going to hate on her. Of course not. But I just don't want to go back and watch that show. And it would be very hard for me to watch a season 2 of that show. But I think if it does come out, I'm such an MCU simp, and obviously we have this podcast that I'm obviously going to watch every episode of a show. I would prefer to watch something that's like a 4 out of 10 than have no Marvel at all to watch. That's just that's where I'm at, and I think there's a lot of people that are, they want quality, not quantity. Whereas I'm like, I don't mind there being filler shit and slow stuff and stuff that's not that good, because I just love seeing the world, the MCU. I love seeing it grow more, and I don't mind sitting and watching a crap show like Miss Marvel just to see the world expanding more. Like, I'm more of a fan of the expansion of the world rather than be getting 10 out of 10, because it's unrealistic. Like, there's no way. And even like when you go back and break down all the movies that came out, even stuff in phase 1, 2, 3, like Marvel haven't hit home every single time. Like, it was only in like that kind of sweet space between like Civil War, or like, sorry, Winter Soldier. So like Winter Soldier onwards until Endgame was just, it was home runs every single time. Like, they couldn't miss. It was the most magical time in superhero cinema. Like, it has to be. It was just like 10 out of 10s each time. Perfection. And now it's kind of like dropping off again, and people are like, oh, you'll never make a movie as good as Endgame. It's like, well, it took them 10 years to get there. You know what I mean? And now you're like shitting on stuff because they're kind of doing a rework. Like, it's kind of like a reboot, nearly like an origin story reboot with all new characters. Like, you're bringing in all these new characters. It's like, you need to give them time to grow as well.
Yeah.
But by the time we get around to Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, shit's going to be fucking incredible again. Incredible again.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see the phase 5 more than I've been excited about phase 4, because phase 4 was kind of a dud for me overall. Everything gets better when I rewatch it, but you're right. Like, when they have time to like build all these characters together and send them down the same path, and we're gonna get a movie like King Dynasty or Secret Wars where there's gonna be like fucking like 30 people in that movie. It's gonna be outrageous.
Yeah, well, like I heard like a great like theory on what they think Kang Dynasty is going to be about. So it's going to be potentially like a war between, like, say, 616 and 838. So we get like reintroduced to 838. Maybe time stone's been used and the Illuminati aren't dead. I think that'd be really interesting. And then you have a big war, and then maybe, again, we've already heard in Multiverse of Madness of like the incursions and so on. So maybe there's an incursion, one of the universes gets wiped out, maybe 838, and then they all get teleported to Battle World for Secret Wars. And then whoever survives goes and lives on the universe that wins the incursion. It's fucking nuts, bro. It's proper comic book shit. Like, we're gonna be getting it.
I know that there's this excitement for like 838 getting into an incursion, or an incursion happening on that universe, but I feel like the magic is within Multiverse of Madness. I would not want to see it again, because there's plenty of other universes that we can dive into and have like, because you want to get the best of the best, and clearly that Illuminati team was not the best. They got wiped out by Wanda immediately. So we need
Scarlet Witch, not Wanda.
Well, Scarlet Witch, Wanda, it doesn't matter. What matters
it matters, bro. It matters.
Oh no, it's the same thing, man. I will always say Wanda or Scarlet Witch.
I think Scarlet Witch is a Nexus being. There's only one, she's the most powerful being. That's right. That's the whole point of it. That's why they were so cocky in that movie. They're like, Wanda, yeah, we could deal with her, no problem. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not Wanda, it's the Scarlet Witch you're dealing with here. And she's she killed them all from across a different universe, dreamwalking into that universe. So she wasn't even there. Right. That's like, when you think about it, it's terrifying to think of how strong she is.
Of course, but being a Nexus being also means that you all have the exact same amount of power levels. Just because she walked into a different universe doesn't mean that she can't be defeated by Wanda. If you understand, so Nexus beings are all interconnected with each other within the multiverse. Like, so all these events, they occur differently, but they're all the same being. So they all happen to have the same amount of power and strength.
I don't know. I don't know the way MCU tackles Marvel concepts anymore, because they've taken such a curveball from the comic books, especially like when they got to Endgame and what that was about. That even something like Secret Wars, I'm like, dude, there's no way they're doing Battlegrounds. Like, there's no way, bro. I mean, I would love it, because fucking Battlegrounds was insane,
for sure. And I think that you need the best of the best. And like I stated before, like that Illuminati wasn't the best. They're going to find the best. And I really hope that we get a new set of characters that are from different worlds that just look different, look different or have different strengths that would be mind blowing in my vision for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I suppose. Sorry, I had a list up of Phase 4 there and I lost it. What was the worst movie of Phase 4? Do you think?
Oh, come on, man! Easily Black Widow. Easily Black Widow. I thought Black Widow's plot was dumb. The story was dumber. The only thing I found redeemable about that movie was the scenes of the family when they were together, like at the table and stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the way the dad was just constantly the butt of a joke. Like, I think that they could have made him a little bit more sincere and his character a little better. The fact that Black Widow won the day by smashing her nose onto the table. I'm like, that was the only way to win. Like, what are we doing here? And then visually, the visual effects in that movie were so poorly done. I'll never get over seeing the wind blowing sparks and fire to the left of the screen, and then Scarlett Johansson's hair blowing to the right of the screen. So the wind apparently created a vortex 10 feet around the Black Widow, and the wind changed directions.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The same thing happened with Yelena as well. Like, just before the thing blew up.
Yes.
Like, the CGI was terrible, and then her hair was going the wrong way and stuff, and then she blows up and shoots backwards. Like, yeah, it was.
Oh, it's so bad.
It was pretty poor. I when I walked out of this theater after seeing that, though, I was like, I really liked it. On first watch, I think it was just as I kind of sat down and analyzed it, and as we talked about it and watched a few breakdowns and kind of got put onto the stuff that I missed the first time I watched it, because I kind of just switched off my brain and went in and watched it, because I thought, this movie is kind of out of time, and it's, it's 2 years too late and so on. I was kind of just like, let's just switch off here and see what happens. And
yeah. And it was our first time back in the movie theater to see an MCU movie since COVID, I believe, if I remember that right. I'm pretty sure that's the first one they released in theater. So I was caught up into it because I really liked it at first too. But I would say like my biggest disappointment personally was probably like Thor, man, because I had fun watching that, but like the more I think about that movie and the more I'm let down by it, bro. And like, me, Thor's my baby. Like, I wanted that to be so fucking good. Ragnarok's one of my favorite. Dark World's one of my favorites. Like, I'm one of those Thor fans. And
where's the hammer, bro? I can't see Mjolnir. Oh, he's there. He was behind you.
Oh, sorry. I thought it this morning.
I thought he disappeared. No,
I'm still worthy.
I really was disappointed with that movie as well, and I see a lot of people like talking shit about Taika online. I just think he went a bit too far with it. I think
for sure.
He should have been reined back. Like, I understand the comedy side of things, like, and I enjoy that, but when you see like Russell Crowe skipping down the stairs, like twirling his skirt around and stuff, and I'm like, this is just fucking ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
I just, and then there was like a talking anime characters, like a Game of Thrones throne made out of like fucking spoons or some shit. Like, I'm just like, this is just ridiculous. Like, I just, and again, I think there was like some crazy stuff that happened there. Like, you're standing in a room and you're like, it's full of all of the like gods, but they're ripping the piss so much that you just can't even take what's going on seriously. Like, I'm just like, like some of this stuff is really cool. Like, there's some really cool like characters here, but it's like the fact that there was just the comedy was so overdone, it could kind of just took away from the magic of that. Like, imagine that was if it was a serious film and we walked into that room, like everyone's like teary hats and beyond. They'd be like breaking it down frame by frame. Okay, who we got here? Who's here? Like, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but I haven't seen anyone break that down. And like, usually, there's like so many YouTube channels out there that just go hard breaking down every frame of the movie. And it's like, okay, like in this frame, you can see this is like an Egyptian god sitting here, and here's like, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, nerding out 100 on it. And people just like ignored everything that happened there because it was just stupid, and they ruined these potential like opportunities to have these really cool moments with all the gods. But the comedy just ruined everything.
Yeah, if it feels like you need a little like verisimilitude. You know what I mean? Like, they need to take the movie serious and have the jokes in there, but Thor has to be like a somewhat serious character. He has to take his own problems seriously. And it doesn't feel like Taika Waititi took that movie seriously and took the plot seriously, and all the characters didn't. But then there was like really heavy shit in there. There's like hey kids, we're gonna have a crazy fight where all you guys are gonna get electric powers and have tons of fun, and then we're just gonna watch Jane die of cancer. It's just like fucking like where's your head at, man? Like who is this movie for? What are you trying to make me feel here? Like what emotion do you want me to have? Because going one direction or the other, but the tone of that movie was all over the place.
Yeah, it had to have been the idea behind riding off the success of Thor Ragnarok, because Thor Ragnarok was made to be funny, it was made to be exciting, it was made to be a fun thrill ride. But when it came to Thor: Love and Thunder, I don't think Taika Waititi was thinking, oh, let's make this a little more serious because this is someone that can kill gods. This is someone that can actually like kill Thor too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just bring him to a world where everybody's dainty and apparently having orgies and whatnot. And it's like, what? Like Thor the God Butcher, like at the very beginning, it was very serious. Even that moment with that god that was like, who cares about you? Like, this happened. I'm upset about this. I don't care about you, even though you worship me. And then you see the sword come out. He stabs him with the sword. You get the feeling like, okay, this is going to be serious. And then it just pulls a 180 and it's like, no, it's just all funny.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I think like Taika struck gold with Ragnarok and he obviously just couldn't replicate it,
Yeah.
I think it was a kind of a lucky dip kind of, it came out at the perfect time. It was the perfect kind of mesh of serious and soundtrack and comedy and, everything was, and we were just introduced to Korg and it was funny. Whereas like now this one, Korg was way overplayed in this film.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. And there was too much comedy. And like, I think I said this on a previous podcast, but I think the perfect kind of Thor character was around the time of like Age of Ultron and so on. Like that was the kind of the perfect Thor because he was kind of witty and funny, but he was deadly serious and an absolute badass. Whereas even in Endgame, like Fat Thor was like, it was kind of like a joke. Like it was weird. It was funny, but it made sense, I suppose. Like he was going through all the grief and everything, but at the same time, I never would have thought that you'd have like a Fat Thor. Like I just didn't even think it was physically possible for him to become a Fat Thor,
And it was also mainly due to the fact that Chris Hemsworth was tired of having his shirt off most of the time. So he told him, it's like, I don't want to be ripped and have my shirt on. Like, change it up for me. And they decided, okay, well, let's just make him fat.
Yeah.
And
so
then
he goes and gets jacked to the moon during COVID, and it's like, okay, yeah, no, I'll go completely naked this time in this movie. Like, it's like, what do you want to do here? It's like, what do you want to do here, Hemsworth? Like, come on, are you feeling objectified or not?
You don't want to be a one-trick pony.
Yeah. I think Infinity War Thor was the fucking peak of Thor, man.
Oh yeah,
like peak Thor when he's he's with the Guardians and he's so serious, but his lines are so fucking funny because of that. Yeah. He's like Drax to another level. Yeah. And then after that he gets Stormbreaker and he's like flying through spaceships. Like huge. Oh god, I didn't see. Like I'm gonna watch it after this. I'm going to watch that clip.
Yeah, obviously I was showing the little lad the I Am Groot stuff, and then I was like, oh, what scene should I show him here? So I went on like put on Guardians 1 and like I was like, here's baby Groot, like, or when he's fully grown. And he was like, oh, cool, yeah. And he's like, I could see he didn't really care. And I was like, actually, I was thinking of a cool scene, where Groot uses his arm to make the handle for Stormbreaker. I was like, I'll show him that. And I was like, look, his arm is like Thor's new hammer's like handle. And he was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was just like then it goes back to the war scene and he's like, no, I'm not interested. I was like, oh, he's just not there yet. It's so annoying. But yeah, like just Infinity War for me is the best MCU movie of all time. I really think so. Like I know Spider-Man
balanced.
I know No Way Home is like such a special movie to me. That's probably number 2, but Infinity War has to be the best movie ever. Like it's like even just it's peak Steve Rogers, it's peak Thor. Robert Downey Jr. is amazing in it. Like, we get like all those, the first interactions between Tony and the first interactions between like Strange and stuff is just so good. Oh, it's amazing. Like, oh man, it's just like so many things. Like Black Panther's incredible in the movie.
Dude, when
Bucky's great. It's just,
Captain America and Black Panther are running ahead of the troops.
Oh my god,
I
love that scene
going
so
so
much.
fast.
I love that scene so much. Like, me and my girlfriend always laugh at, like, well, not laugh, like, but we always just enjoy that scene so much. Yeah, so good. And like, I've even shown the young lad that at one time, because he's like a really fast runner himself. I was like, "Do you want to see fast? I'll show you fast." I put on Steve Rogers running into that scene.
So funny, man.
I love it. I love it so much. I'm gonna watch Infinity War next week.
And then I freaking forget the name of the actress, but the leader of the Dora Milaje, after the Scarlet Witch comes down and destroys all the people, and she's just like, why was she up there?
Yeah.
Like, that line fucking gets me every time, bro.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. It's like, why were we keeping her up there?
Yeah, like, Wakandans are like so straight to the point. Like, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah.
I loved it, man.
Absolutely epic. Yeah, guys, we've been live for like an hour and 20. So I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to talk about.
I'm tapped.
Any predictions? Actually, just before we go, any predictions for She-Hulk, like for the first episode or whatever, or like what do you think is going to happen?
Ooh. I think we're getting Wong in the very beginning. I think Wong sets up a bit that whole, tying it in. I don't know, man. I'm excited to see the ship thing. I haven't even seen that clip.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think they're gonna bring Jeff Goldblum in. I'm gonna send it. He's looking for refuge.
He had a scene apparently in Love and Thunder, and they cut it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, he shot something. So yeah, Phase 4 is the Wong party, bro. It's Wong all day. He's absolutely carrying this phase. I think it's fantastic. He's such a legend, dude. He's bringing it all together.
And so Wong, but it feels so right.
Oh, how dare you, sir?
And still, fucking Wong's hair is the length of the hair is still the best way to keep the track of the timeline. Like, they keep having him grow it out, and then they tape it up if it's going to be in the past a little bit. Like, his hair growth is fantastic.
It's so good. It's so good.
All right. I think. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think that what's going to happen is that we're just going to have one episode where she hulks out, and is going on a rampage, and then Banner hulks out so that he can contain her, and then it's over. So I like that's, to me, it might be exciting, but I'm already kind of like worried that would be the lackluster episode. It just seems very flatline.
I really hope the series as a whole sets up the Hulk to have a better storyline, because I'm really bored with the Hulk right now. Professor Hulk is just a sleeper for me. So I really hope the show takes kind of like the Hulk part of the MCU universe and just sets it on fire and like gets him going. I want to return to fucking dumb Hulk smash. Like, I want him raging, destroying cities.
Yeah.
And I hope this series like puts us on that direction.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, because like I would presume that the crash happens in episode 1, and in episode 1 it seems like Bruce has found out how to change back into Bruce, and he knows how to change back to Professor Hulk as well. So like my understanding of like Endgame was the fact that like he had morphed the two into one, and like he couldn't go back to one or the other. It seemed like he was kind of stuck as Professor, but now obviously he has the power to go from Bruce to Professor. So I'm kind of curious to see how often he'll be changing back and forth. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited. Abomination, Wong, Matt. There's a lot going on here, and then I think Frogman's in it, and there's another one of She-Hulk's main villains as well is in it. Like, there's lots of shit going on.
Yeah,
I'm excited, guys. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit like on the video, leave us a comment below, let us know what you think. If you're listening to us on Spotify, make sure you follow the channel, hit them noti bells so you see us live every week, and we'll see you next week. We'll be talking about She-Hulk episode 1 and any other kind of nerdy news from the week. All right, guys.
Later, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See ya.